1 through 10. I didn't mean to steal Melvin's song. Melvin came up with us to sing the song we're going to close with. I had it picked out on Tuesday. That's okay. It's a good one.
Thank you for saying.
We could have done it twice. So that's okay. 1 John 3, 1 through 10. How great is the love the Father has lavished on us, that we should be called children of God, and that is what we are. The reason the world does not know us is that it did not know Him. Dear friends, now we are children of God, and what we will be has not yet been made known. What we know, that when He appears, we shall be like Him. We shall see Him as He is. Everyone who has this hope in Him purifies himself just as He is pure. Everyone who sins breaks the law. In fact, sin is lawlessness. But you know that He appeared so that He might take away our sins, and in Him is no sin. No one who lives in Him keeps on sinning. No one who continues to sin has either seen Him or known Him. Dear children, do not let anyone lead you astray. He who does what is right is righteous, just as He is righteous. He who does what is sinful is of the devil, because the devil has been sinning from the beginning. The reason the Son of God appeared was to destroy the devil's work. No one who is born of God will continue to sin, because God's seed remains in him. He cannot go on sinning because he has been born of God. This is how we know who the children of God are, and who the children of the devil are. Anyone who does not do what is right is not a child of God, nor is anyone who does not love his brother. This tiny little book of 1 John isn't very long. You can read it in about 10 or 15 minutes if you just sit down and start at the beginning and go through. It's only a couple pages. It's not long. Well, some of the things that John says here are not so much confusing, but very, very deep and very profound. I knew a guy one time who started off pastoring the church, and he started a Bible study. He figured, hey, let's just start with 1 John. It'll be an easy little book to study. He spent 2 years studying 1st, 2nd, and 3rd John because of what you can get into. That's why I haven't studied 1 John Bible study. I don't want to spend a couple years on it necessarily, but we'll get it. John is known as the disciple who Jesus loved. How often do you see they talk about John, the disciple who Jesus loved? I'm not sure why. I'm sure Jesus loved all those guys. But John is the disciple who Jesus loved. We can see that John talks a lot about the love of God. This John clearly knows God, clearly knows the love of God. He's the guy who tells us later that God is love. Well, that doesn't depend on what your definition of is either. God is love, period. That's an easy one. God's love is so great that we're called His children. And what we're going to be hasn't been made known yet. I'm sure you've either heard or asked the question, what are we going to look like in heaven? What's it going to look like when we get there? And there's the answer right there in 1 John. We don't know. Now, some people think they know. You'll get answers from certain people. We'll have answers for you. But what it says in Scripture, and sometimes we can be confused. But let's not be confused over easy stuff. What we shall be has not yet been made known. But when He appears, we'll be like Him. That's good enough for me. Right? I'm not always satisfied with certain answers, but that one I can live with. It's better than I can imagine. Somebody even sang a song on something like that. I can only imagine. We can imagine. Let yourself imagine. Don't not imagine. Imagine what it's going to be like. But we don't know what it's going to be like. When He shows up, when Jesus shows up, we're going to be like Him. We're going to see Him as He is. Looking forward to it. And then when we get there, I'll tell you, look me up. Then I'll tell you. So, I'll know the answer. And then you will too. It won't matter. And I honestly couldn't tell you the answer to what we're going to look like other than to say the way I just said. And it's good news. And that's our hope. Right? That is our hope. We're hoping for that. It's not here yet. It's not here yet. That's the neat thing about salvation. It's an already / not yet kind of thing. We're saved. We know you're saved. If you're in Jesus, you're saved. But there's something still coming about it, isn't it? There's something not yet about it. Because something's going to change when Jesus comes. Looking forward to it. We enter into this relationship with Jesus, and now we begin to undergo this purification process. And one by one, we overcome those areas in our lives where we're just not quite right. It's called working out our salvation in fear and trembling. Right? It's called sanctification. It's called growing in the Spirit. Those things are all synonymous. People will argue about the definition of all those things. Let's not. It's called becoming holy. It's called destroying the work of the devil. So what is the work of the devil? How has it been destroyed? John answers this question beginning in verse 4. Everyone who sins breaks the law. Sin is lawlessness. That's the whole point of the law, is to tell us what's wrong. If there wasn't a stop sign at the end of the road, you wouldn't even think you were supposed to stop. It's for your own good. The law is there for your own good. And so we break the law and we sin. And this is, Jesus appeared to take away our sins. It says, in him was no sin. There it is again. If anybody ever asks you what the greatest miracle Jesus ever did is, what are you going to say? He never sinned. Forget about raising Lazarus from the dead. That's probably close. But I dare say, if God wanted to happen, we could pray for somebody who passed away and he'd bring him back to life. I've tried it. It's never worked for me. So I need more faith, I guess. I need faith the size of a mustard seed to move a mountain. Ever try to move a mountain? Yeah. Working on it. Working on it. It's going to move. But no one who lives in him keeps on sinning. It says, no one who continues to sin has seen him or known him. And John says, dear children, don't let anyone lead you astray. John's really concerned about this. Don't let anybody lead you astray. He who does what is right is righteous. He who does what is sinful is of the devil, because the devil has been sinning from the beginning. Satan's work is sin. That's all he knows how to do. Now, he's real good at making it look good. He'll sugarcoat it real nice. And he'll even use fancy words, and you see it all the time. And sometimes it's almost hard to disagree with this. There's some people that are so good at it, it's hard to disagree with them. But nothing he does is ever right. And ever since the garden, when Eve took a simple piece of fruit and gave it to Adam, and they ate it, it's been downhill, not quite ever since we got Jesus now. But it's been down, and he's been trying to drag mankind down with him, and he's been pretty successful, if you look around. You think? Satan's done some winning. Unfortunately, he's won some. And before Jesus came, it wasn't hard to look around and see, the masterpieces in some people's lives, but at just the right time, Jesus shows up. And according to verse 8, was to destroy the devil's work, to destroy sin. And now John says, no one who's born of God will continue to sin. And this verse really trips people up. No one who's born of God continues to sin. Because God's seed remains in him. He can't go on thinking he's born of God. I realize you're thinking, hey, I'm born again. I still sin sometimes. What's going on? This is where people trip up. Because they think, I got to get born again. Right? Some people don't know they need to get saved again. And so that's why some people every Sunday feel like they need to bum rush the altar and get saved again. Don't need to get saved again. You need to confess it to God. John's not talking about an occasional sin. He's talking about a pattern. There are two different words for sin. There's a sin, like a sin. This is a sin. Then there's a pattern, a lifestyle of sin. And when you're born of God, a seed is planted. Did you ever plant a seed? Does it spring up overnight and pop up and flower and beautiful overnight? No. No, sometimes somebody just pointed out on the way in, there's some new stuff, go figure, in November, growing up out of the ground now in front of the church. And I was sharing, asked me what it was. I don't know who planted it, but seeds get planted. Someday we'll figure out what it is. It takes time, doesn't it, for it to grow? And there's seeds in your life, good seeds. And it's going to take time for that to come to fruition. Be okay with that. Holiness doesn't happen overnight. And as you grow in holiness, you'll find sin getting further and further away and be more and more Christ-like as you grow in his grace. Growing in grace is important. And as I've said before, I'll say it again. If there's one thing you know about me, I'm redundant. There's some things that need. Jesus was redundant. You think? He said the same thing over and over again. He repeated himself. It isn't about what you or I can do. It's about what Jesus did. He appeared to destroy the work of the devil. I can't destroy the work of the devil. If I couldn't destroy the work of the devil, guess what? God would told me to do it. And guess what? I tried to do it. And as Jesus hung on the cross, he uttered 3 words. He said a whole bunch of things. He uttered 3 words. But I want us to hear again. It is finished. What was finished? Something was finished on the cross. We sing that song on Easter, love's redeeming, work is done. Fought the fight, the battle won, Jesus got it done. The devil's work was destroyed when Jesus died on the cross. Because he destroyed the power of sin. And the best that sin can do, the wages of sin is what? Death. It's going to happen. This stuff's going to quit. I'm not going to throw about that necessarily, because I'm not really sure how it's going to happen, or when it's going to happen. But it's going to quit. It happens. It's going to happen to everybody. Unless we stick around long enough, the Lord comes back. But even at that, it's going to change. But Jesus didn't stay dead, did he? You know, we're all going to die. That's the bad news. That's always the bad news, right? We're all going to die. The good news is we won't stay dead. I know what you're thinking. Come on. The devil sure likes he's having a field day out there. It's getting worse. And I know sometimes we think, oh, no, we're just hearing more about it. It's probably both. It's hard to say. It's been pretty bad over the years. But how can you say the devil's work was destroyed? Well, Satan's defeated, is he not? He's defeated. The battle's been won across the Calvary. But we clearly have work to do, don't we? It's not like, okay, you just get saved and live happily ever after. Anybody have that testimony? Not that we can't be happy the whole way. But it's hard, isn't it? It's hard. And if anybody told you it was easy, they lied to you. That'd be a lie, would be the devil's work. That's how it is. Unfortunately, there's so many people who continue to live the way Satan wants them to live. They're essentially fighting the battle on behalf of Satan. They're continuing his work. John tells us plainly in verse 8, he who does what is sinful is of the devil. And again in verse 10, this is how we know who the children of God are and who the children of the devil are. Anyone who does not do what is right is not a child of God, nor is anyone who does not love his brother. There are people out there, this is one of my biggest pet peeves. And I like when people perk up when they say that. My biggest pet peeve is people say, oh, we're all children of God. The whole world is children of God. You know, without sounding like a wet blanket, that's not true. That is simply not true. Creating the image of God is different than being a child of the King. For those who believe, they've been given the right to become children of God. There are children of God and there are children of the devil. That's a choice that gets made. There wasn't a God that said, okay, this guy, he's mine. This guy, he's the devil. This guy's mine. This way, she's definitely. God didn't make that decision. He makes the determination, but it's our decision. You know, if you do what's sinful and don't love your brother, you're not a child of God. And that's not me saying it. Just looking at why do you think it takes 2 years to study 1 John? Because right as you're here, people get to really argue about stuff. They really get confused about stuff. Because we still sin sometimes. We don't like when we sin sometimes. And we get irritated when we sin sometimes. And other people sin sometimes. And we think to ourselves, well, I'm not as bad as this guy, so you know, thank God I'm not like that. And we all do it, don't we? Don't just blame that Pharisee. He's just the first one to get popped. You know, it's we're all guilty of that. The style of sin doesn't matter. Sin gives the enemy a foothold in your lives. Ephesians 4:27 says that. That's where it talks about not letting the sun go down on your anger. If Satan has a foothold, he's got you. Jesus destroyed that foothold. He destroyed the work of the devil. He destroyed sin. With the battle rages on against all these things. The powers, the principalities, the anti-Christian agendas and philosophies, false religions, false gods, all the things trying to rebuild Satan's kingdom. There's only two ways of thinking and living. You can think like Jesus, you can live like Jesus, or you can think like the devil and sin like the devil. There's really no gray area. The world wants to create gray areas. That's what they want to do. They want to create gray areas, so we're like, that's what the serpent did to Eve. Create a gray area. And Eve sinned. The gray area leads to sin. You see, we know who the victor is, and we're going to sing about it. Colossians 2:15. It'll take a while to study Colossians too, if you ever study Colossians. Because Colossians 2:15 says, having disarmed the powers and authorities, he made a public spectacle of them, triumphing over them by the cross. You think Satan liked that? You think he liked being publicly humiliated by Jesus? He thought he was publicly humiliating Jesus. He really did. And I guess hanging there with nothing on the cross, bloody as all get out, was probably pretty embarrassing. We talked about that the other night when they asked me to be Jesus. And the thing, I can know those poor guys who got to be Jesus in a passion play. I don't mind watching it, but I don't want to do that. But the Apostle John tells us that the kingdom of the world, the kingdom that Adam and Eve gave over to Satan, has become the kingdom of our Lord Jesus Christ, and he will reign forever and ever. Somebody wrote a really awesome song about that. That if we ever want to embarrass ourselves, we try to sing. It's hard to sing. If you overcome him by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony, the work of the devil has been destroyed, and Jesus reigns from the right hand of the Father until he comes again in glory when the final trumpet sounds. I'm waiting for it. I can almost hear it. I want to hear it. Let's pray. Father God, help us. Help us, Lord, in our lives. Lord, destroy the work of the devil. Lord, destroy the devil's work here, destroy the devil's work, Lord, everywhere. In our lives, in our families, in our church, Lord, and in our community, Lord, in our county, state, and world, Lord, let it be done according to your will in Jesus' name.